Calaroga Shark Media.
With the landscapers and the cicadas, I'm Johnny Mac poolside with your daily comedy news. Boy, we got a lot to talk about. I bumped stuff into later in the week, but we got to talk about John Mulaney at Wrigley Field. Everything I saw about this starting on Sunday, everybody was there, said the show was absolutely amazing. Your host was Richard Kind. Mulaney was joined by Buddy Guy, Fred Armisen, David Letterman. Yeah, and then Mulaney did 2 hours, apparently. The Hollywood Reporter had a nice recap. David Letterman took center stage to wild cheers and applause and asked, "How did this happen? What are the Beatles here tonight, ladies and gentlemen? This makes the Taylor Swift wedding look like a student film." Chicago blues legend Buddy Guy was the opener. The 89-year-old Buddy Guy played a short set while everybody kind of got settled. Your host, Richard Kind, then welcomed Fred Armisen, who performed a comedy set that featured some musical numbers. Then David Letterman had the task of welcoming John Mulaney to the stage. Slash Film's Ethan Anderton is quoted as saying Mulaney blew the non-existent roof off Wrigley Field. The Hollywood Reporter says when it was all said and done, Mulaney seemed floored by the scene. As Mulaney closed the show, he said, "Every Chicago thing in me is telling me to stop bowing, but I'm going to enjoy the moment. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Another round of applause, please, for Fred Armisen, Buddy Guy, Richard Kind, and Ball State's David Letterman. Words can't describe how cool this is." Sounds like an awesome show. John Mulaney is touring Mr. Whatever, coming soon to a town possibly near you. I got to talk about this. This is my new favorite topic / bit from the Daily Beast. Outed MAGA comedian does first interview since Trump event. That's right. Outed MAGA comedian Nate Bargatze did an interview. The MAGA comedian went on the Dan Patrick Show where he was asked softball questions like, have you ever tried Burger Donald's, burgers from Burger King, fries from McDonald's? And the MAGA comedian answered, "Oh, wow, I could do that. Yeah, I would do it. I get 2 Whopper Juniors, no onion, no tomato, and that's the route I've been going to a lot lately. No fries. But now you're throwing in McDonald's. Oh, boy. Geez, what a fascist answer that is." Nate Bargatze did not address the firestorm of fan blowback that he has faced since cozying with MAGA's elite, says the Daily Beast. The New York Comedy Festival announced their headliners. The festival takes place November 6th through the 15th this year in all 5 New York City boroughs. I'm underwhelmed by this lineup, being honest. Mark Maron, okay, cool. Alana Glazer, that's the second name you're throwing out there. Sarah Sherman, Adam Friedland, Miss Pat, Daniel Sloss, Z-Way, Patty Harrison, and more. Second paragraph, headliners also include Jordan Jensen, Jordan Klepper, Ben Backus, Mojo Brooks, Dropout Improv, Game Show starring Matt Rogers and Dave Mazzoni, Jess Hilarious, and Joanne McNall. I don't know, is that an exciting lineup? This thing is, I don't know, it used to feel bigger. The festival will feature more than 100 shows from over 200 comedians with more performers to be announced. Well, that's good. For the first time, the New York Comedy Festival will welcome Variety's prestigious 10 Comics to Watch program as part of the lineup. That presentation will take place November 12th during the festival. This year's honorees will also be featured in Variety's November 4th issue ahead of the event. Since launching that franchise in 2000, Variety has identified many of comedians' biggest future stars, including Wanda Sykes, MAGA comedian Nate Bargatze, Star Trek ruiner Patton Oswalt, Fred Armisen, and Zach Galifianakis. Meanwhile, Just for Laughs doesn't know what Summer Friday is. They announced a bunch of things for the Montreal Comedy Festival at noon on Friday in the summer, and I'm like, that's waiting for Tuesday, guys. What are you doing? We are told Chris Fleming is set to receive the Comedy Performance of the Year. Very nice. He will also do a live show at the Montreal Festival. Atsuko at Kotsko will receive the Breakout Comedy Star of the Year trophy. So that's interesting, right? If you listen to this show, you know who Atsuko is. We've been talking about her for years and years, but I guess civilians are like, who's that? Canadian actress and comic Lisa Gilroy, you may know her from Jury Duty or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, will be honored as the Rising Comedy Star of the Year. Interesting. And Gabe Fluffy Iglesias, we're told coming off his Netflix special, and I'll add, the Riyadh Comedy Festival, he wins the Generation Award. Also, a friend of mine, former Just for Laughs programming head Bruce Hills, will receive the JFL Legacy Tribute Award. Congratulations to Bruce there. Now, what's really interesting is the continued establishmentization of Gianmarco Ceresi. He and Jay Jordan will deliver this year's State of the Industry address, which roasts the comedy business. Gianmarco's going to be really, really good at that. I'm enjoying the cicadas. This is the first day of the summer I've heard any cicadas. Every summer they're like, this is the big brood, and then I get underwhelmed. I like when it's like cicada mania. So you may have heard that Senator Lindsey Graham passed away. However you feel about his politics, you don't have to be a douche. Apparently Margaret Cho disagrees with that sentiment. Margaret Cho posted a video on TikTok on Sunday morning with the caption, "Bye girl, G-U-R-L." We are told in the clip, Margaret Cho said goodbye to Graham several times before uttering a frequent rumor that the politician who opposed LGBTQ plus rights was gay. Margaret Cho said, "From the closet to the coffin, real seamless." Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel is trolling Mitch McConnell. You may have seen over the weekend, they put out a proof of life photo of Mitch McConnell. Some people think it was AI generated. Jimmy Kimmel interrupted his summer break and wrote on Instagram, "For those who've been asking, I'm feeling great." That caption was attached to a Photoshop version of McConnell's photo. In this version, we saw Jimmy Kimmel sitting with Elaine Chao. MacPacker Henry Winkler responded to that and said, "Didn't ask, but so glad to know. Actually, didn't know to ask." Representative Jasmine Crockett praised Jimmy Kimmel, commenting with a series of laughing emojis and adding, "You never miss." Over the weekend, Ollie G was selling weed at Wimbledon. Let's listen.
Stuff here, we got Bargatze buds, we got fresh roll-ups, come to seed, 142 row H in it. There's the official Wimbledon dealer in it.
I'm sure somebody found that funny. If you need something to watch, Brian Simpson's Live at the Mothership is out today. You will find that on Gorilla Comedy Plus. It's kind of weird having no soccer to watch yesterday. I actually got some work done. How about that James Corden late night show? You know, I call it Show After Soccer. It probably has its own title. Oh, yes, it does. It's FIFA World Cup on Fox After Hours with James Corden. I think Show After Soccer would have been a much better name. How's it doing, Johnny Mac? Well, Late Nighter tells us it is averaging 639,000 total viewers, and in the 18 to 49s, 206,000 adults. Late Nighter says for a lightly promoted sports-adjacent pop-up show, it is lightly promoted except for, 50 million people watching the U.S. game and the announcer saying coming up at midnight, James Corden. I don't know how lightly promoted that is or not. But anyway, Late Nighter says the numbers are hardly disastrous, especially in the demo. Late Nighter adds the more revealing numbers are the outliers. After Hours posted its two strongest telecasts to date on June 29th and June 30th when it immediately followed World Cup games. The June 29th episode did 1.237 million total viewers, and in the 18 to 49s, 452,000. The next night, 1.224 million viewers and 469,000 adults 18 to 49. Pretty good. Also from Late Nighter, we'll talk a little bit more about Jimmy Kimmel's June ratings later in the week, but during the July 4th lull, Kimmel averaged 1.45 million total viewers and 167,000 18 to 49s. Number 2 in Late Night, The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, which also aired repeats that week, 1.17 million total viewers and 143,000 adults 18 to 49. The Byron Allen Garbage did 651,000 total viewers and 18 to 49 in a country of 300 million people, 73,000 adults. But CBS doesn't care because they're making money. At 12:30, Different Garbage with Byron Allen, Funny You Should Ask, drew 412,000 total viewers and 47,000 adults 18 to 49. At that point, just run this podcast. Late Night with Seth Meyers, make 12:30 great again, had repeats all week. 651,000 total viewers and 84,000 adults 18 to 49. Again, not that many more people than are listening right now. Prince Harry went on a comedy podcast. If you want to follow all the latest Prince Harry news, this is me cross-promoting the Palace Intrigue podcast. We had some pretty good numbers ourselves last week with Prince Harry visiting his father in London. Harry went on Joe Marler Will See You Now, and Joe Marler, a retired rugby player, is joined by comedian Jake Bardwell. They asked Harry his name, and Harry said his name is Henry Charles Albert David, Duke of Sussex. Jake Bardwell quipped, "It's a long one." Prince Harry said, "All right, Jake." And in Turkey, the court has ordered access blocked to a YouTube video of the show Olu Deniz, hosted by comedian Deniz Gürktaş, citing national security and public order concerns. A video had been watched some 12.7 million times. Gürktaş was arrested by an Istanbul court on July 3rd and jailed pending trial after prosecutors accused him of insulting the president and various religious values in the same show. He was detained at Istanbul airport during passport control after returning from a previously planned vacation. The 90-minute performance uploaded to YouTube on June 24th includes satirical comments on Turkish politics, universities, public protests, nationalism, and the secular children of conservative families. In a police statement, Gürktaş denied intending to insult religious people or the president, saying the show had been performed for about 3 years in cities across Turkey and seen by more than 100,000 people before being uploaded to YouTube. And that is your comedy news for today, Poolside. See you tomorrow.